And we're back, finally, after 3 days off.
Something like that. Yeah. Just
Actually,
fell into the
yeah, four, right? I think you're right. It's an extra one, 4 days in between the last time we did it.
yes. Laziness is, took over for a few days.
Yeah,
Sloth.
yeah. Or well, I got sick, so I had a little excuse. I really couldn't have done it 2 of the days, and then the last 2 days, it's been something like that. You could call it that, or jumping back on the wagon is, something about it. You got to get the ball rolling again. It's not always
Right.
easy. Uh, and then we were gonna try, as always, pick back up where we left off. And that's hard to do 4 days ago. I have no idea. Actually, not even kidding for a second here. I'm drawing a blank. Where did we end off that last one?
Well, we were talking a little bit about personality tests. Maybe it was like some of your personality test results, that caused you to disappear for 4 days.
That's
You weren't happy.
that's right. It was it ended right over there. No, I took one of them.
Which one?
The E word,
Oh, anagram,
and an anagram.
and however you say it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. Yeah,
Uh, and then we were discussing on the Myers-Briggs personalities test, and
yeah. Well, also what was it called? Human design test.
human design, whatever you call that. I don't know if they call it a test. They call it like
Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, it's not a test. You're right. You just put in your birthday.
that is a religion of its own
It seems to be.
to a degree. It's kind of culty, I guess, that one, human design. That we also talked about that. Yeah, it's a whole big, big piece of the pie to talk about. I don't know if we should.
Yeah, yeah. It was interesting. I did another. I looked up. I found another site. You know, but it was very interesting. Whoever whoever site this was, they were definitely heavy believers in reincarnation and karma and all that stuff in the context of this well, whatever. Uh,
Human
you know,
design.
yeah, yeah. On this one site, I didn't see that on like other sites,
Okay, so
but
that's the main point, just that they're taking that into account, all the reincarnations.
yeah, like yeah, it's kind of funny, like on this one in particular.
What to say about that? I think,
Well, I don't know. I mean,
well,
I
I
just thought,
think certain people are always taking that into account, and then other people, I mean, like we're always saying, there's only so much you can take in at once or take into factor in, and especially if you're new to it all. So, I mean, whether it's astrology or the human design stuff, I think the reincarnation conversations and the past life conversations are there with the people that have more expertise into it. I talked about that one astrology conversation we had. I like 4 or 5 different people I honed in on frequently. And out of the 4 or 5, there's one, she's actually the eldest of the group of people I follow, and she seems to have the most expertise or interest or talks about it the most, the past life stuff, where she can look at someone's birth chart and find out some stuff about your past lives. And like, I mean, it's like, who's to prove this? But
interesting.
a lot of people, a lot of people talk about this kind of things, from palm readers to the next type of, or weird Edgar Case, clairvoyance, people that tap in somehow the other side and understand the past. And so what is your take on it, I guess?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, you know, if I did indeed have past lives, I really have zero interest in finding out about them. Like less than zero. I don't even want to know. I think it would just be a distraction to the here and now, personally. Kind of a, you know,
I agree.
yeah,
I don't know how much good it would do.
yeah. I don't see either.
Well, I have a story here. I mean, I guess I just remembered another little thing, this idea of the Akashic records. Um,
Oh, right. The mysterious.
the cloud that contains all the data that's always present, and from the get-go. And
Yeah,
certain types, I guess, seem to know about it, want to talk about it, have access to it. They at least they say, and they can tap into the Akashic records and
that's funny. Yes, I'm not buying that stuff.
so what is my story? I mean, we'll bring this back around because we have questions about how the birth date says so much, but um once a person from my past reached out to me, high school acquaintance, friendly, not super close, and they were learning how to tap into the Akashic records, and you know they reached out to me because they knew I was pretty open-minded. They didn't know who else might give them a chance. And,
Huh.
I said, sure, you want to do a reading or whatever it was called? And all I did was give them my birth date stuff. And then I was expecting to have like a Zoom call or something at some point. But really, I didn't realize that the time between then and we finally talked, she was doing her stuff. I don't know, her clairvoyancy stuff, trying to tap in. And another friend I mentioned this to, they were like quick to be like, don't be careful with that kind of stuff. Don't let someone get involved with that. Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, the reading, so we talked then, and this person I got love for. She's a real sweetheart and just a good person. And she's, you know, embodying her spirituality and figuring it out. And she got into that. I've seen her kind of, delving into different subjects. And so, anyways, it was interesting what she fed me and told me. And she said she had the opportunity to work on 3 or 4 different cases. She said mine was totally, she had to go to her teacher about mine. Mine was very different results than the other ones she was getting. And I don't know, it's like she had some kind of like frequency thing she was using. She said 3 things, 4 things, like I forgot the terms. She told me I had many, many lives, tons of past lives, and they're all full of stuff, but like I don't know, the last couple is like the first times I'm trying to figure out the same cyclical trauma, whatever I keep getting myself into, mistakes. And now I'm finally starting to see there's like it's up to me to like get myself out of these cycles, and they're generational, they're family related stuff. And so she told me these, I mean, she knew nothing about where I'm at now, and she was telling me about it's like, all right, the 3 things that are standing out, it's been a while. It was like once I settled, like I didn't do the artistic thing, like that was calling me, and said I settled for the family business that was against like my who I was, and I like was it was like we were bankers or corrupt, and we took money from people and this and that. And then just the issues she talked about were like the real issues in my life this time around too. So it was just kind of like, where did you pull those from? I mean, they're daddy issues. The other one was like, do I work for the family business? It was like, do I, listen, go dad's route or my route, and that's kind of a thing I have going this time around again. And
Right.
So, and then, yeah, the other one was like, you know, do you go the way, like the way of the world route, make a bunch of money, or do you go this other route that, and every single time I've been choosing against what I really want, I guess. And so, I don't know. I mean, that's all I have to say about it. And so I was like, oh, well, that's weird that you talk about those things out of nowhere because they're kind of similar stuff, but
Sure.
you know.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then she said this time around though is like different. You really are trying to hone in on this stuff, I guess, which also resonates because I think I am. I mean, just had a conversation with my dad yesterday about some pretty big things related to this, and you know, mentioned to him I've been for a long time trying to do. I've known exactly what you wanted me to do, and I've been consciously choosing to do other things. And I mean, that was literally came out of my mouth yesterday, telling
Oh,
him that, you know. So
well, that's interesting. So do you feel like you've been like, so you feel like you've been doing the opposite of what you should, what you want inside to do? Is that
uh
what you're getting at? Like,
no, I'm getting at like just to make it generalize it, like let's say there's a strong Italian thing where like the father leads and then builds something to then hand down to the son, and then the son does it very, you know, in a similar fashion and so forth. And that's what's been going on. And so
right,
my dad has been probably wanting it to go that way. And I've been fighting it for some time, saying I'm not going to be doing what you're doing, and I'm going to be doing things totally different my way. And so no, I've been doing what my heart
oh, okay, okay,
telling me to do this time around. But lo and behold, life's funny games it plays. Now at 37, I'm actually coming full circle to say I think I'm finally mature enough to, you know, work with my dad better. And I've gone through the phase of saying, you know, it's just there's a way it comes. Remember the last comment was like the service, the service to the world. Like you find your way and somehow you're serving yourself while serving others. I'm I'm finding
sure,
my way within this concept of what's to be done with my family and um like a family business, like you could say, and whether it be
right.
part of it or not. So
Because your dad's a hitman, right? That's
yeah,
the family business,
yeah, exactly. This is all just kidding around, big mafia talk.
right?
Um, so
That's funny.
no, it's way more small time than that. Huh. About those personality tests.
Yeah.
The you just made me start like sweating, or maybe I just you got me nervous. No,
Well, I didn't mean to out, the family hitman business. I think that was probably what did it.
it is.
Yeah, you're like, oh shit, are the feds listening to this?
They're always listening.
Right. Well, I think it's because we're all so damn amusing. That's why they don't want to miss any of the fun, the excitement.
Which is, you know, well, people don't even know about the Akashic records, but you know, if the Akashic records concept is true, if God is true, you brought that up, you know, someone's always listening, someone's always watching. Um, the new, you know, fear of your data being collected left and right is somewhat like, you know, old hat. I get
Right.
it, new and different and pictures of you right here and now, but arguably, you know, the Akashic records are taking pictures of you here and now also.
Well, that seems to be the case, or that's where every moment of everybody's life or stored away. It's like the big external hard drive in the you know in the sky. or whatever, the big giant AI fucking cloud. Yeah,
that
that seems to be the case. You know, it's funny, like I've only really heard stuff about the Akashic records, um, in terms of people with like the between life memories where they're waiting, hanging out in soul school and with their guides and stuff, waiting to incarnate again. And they have memories of this life between lives. Anyway, and or so I've heard about that, and then in some NDEs, near death experiences, they 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 have some sort of memory of some sort of access to these records, but then when they come back, land back in their body, they forget, everything that they just haven't, they remember they saw some records and stuff, blah, 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 whatever, but they can't remember anything they saw or read, as it were, stuff like that.
I
So it's, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. I mean, they, from those two perspectives, the life between lives and then the NDE people that have talked about, this sort of hollowed records and stuff. It seems to be something that is definitely, that we do not have access to, you know, here and now.
no
So I
no
don't know. So it's kind of interesting to hear that, like the girl you were talking about, kind of being able to, tap into that somehow.
yeah, you're
If that's really the case,
yes. So this is I was not being rude looking at my phone. If you saw that, I was just
Oh
trying to
no,
back up some ideas around this topic, because yeah, I have a take on it. I generalize a bunch of different things in the same category of tapping into the Akashic records, downloads. I mean, I'll go as far as the prophets and people that supposedly wrote the Bible stories, um, prayers, anyone that ever says, I got this direct insight from God. I mean, it's the same as the Akashic records, in my opinion, and your near-death experiences and dreams and drug experiences, hallucinations, um, any
yeah,
kind of supernatural stuff of this kind of nature. What you're experiencing is you're having someone testify, I had this experience, this is what happened. And that's it. Like it's a fleeting testify, and how you make this more credible is the next level of creating a belief system. That's always the case. A preacher, like the guys that wrote the Bible, it's no matter what, someone's saying, listen, I got this direct insight, whether it was an image or just the voice of God or a download, what have you. I woke up and I had this epiphany. That's all it is. They're saying that. And now they're going to try and prove it to you through the words, through whatever their persuasiveness. And it's never more than that. And now with more people backing it up, this is where you get how the story of Jesus came to be. It's because there was believers and testified with him. And so that's always, Edgar Case, who we keep bringing up, and maybe we'll have to talk about more. Like he had all these people in the room with him testifying, witnessing. And it's almost like it still was him tapping in the Akashic records and being able to pull this information and saying it, and the people were repeating it. And now that more people are repeating it, now you have 6 or 7 more believers than just one person repeating it. Like if I was trying to say I saw this thing of God and I'm just trying to convince you, like right off the bat, if I had 4 instant people that were in my corner are going to start sharing the story with me, it's going to be that much more easy to get others to share this story. And
right.
you can tell me your take on it, but whenever it's a case of something that's fleeting, you're not going to be able to prove it, and there's no real way to prove it other than this. I know how to do this thing. I can, there's so many people that tap into the astral and they go
Yeah,
go do stuff I can't do. And I'm
yeah,
I'm not, I mean, I was trying to like talk this out, this idea about our own experiences with my buddy and how so much of the download, what comes out of the Akashic record or comes out of the drug experience or the prayer, the epiphany, and then I'm gonna tell you what happened. That already is like heavily embedded on subconscious thoughts that I already have.
yeah. Well, like as has been noted many times, with like drug trips, kind of breakthrough trip reports or like NDEs and stuff. It's all kind of these experiences are totally personalized
Yes,
to the individual.
right.
Yeah, like always.
So wouldn't that also be the case with your interpretation of God, what God says, or if you can go tap into the past and your
Yeah,
interpretation
I mean,
of what
yeah,
the
I mean, I suppose there must be,
yeah, when you come out of that to go describe it, again, you're right back into your personal bias of
yeah,
everything.
right. You impose your worldview on in the interpretation of your experience.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it's like, the people, in the NDEs or something like they believe in Jesus, so, so they get Jesus, in their near-death experience, let's say,
Yeah,
you know.
that's something you can see on the internet, where you will find different, yes, exactly. You'll find different outcomes of someone that, what is near death experience? Someone clinically dies for a moment or whatever,
Yeah, is clinically dead. Yeah,
and then they come back for whatever reason and they have something to say about the time in between. Actually, yep,
yeah.
go ahead, get more.
No, no, that's right. I was just agreeing.
And so when that happens and they maybe talk about it on the internet, if someone has a belief in Christianity and Jesus, oftentimes they'll have an experience in that moment. They saw a glimpse of it. And then
Absolutely.
versa, you'll find someone else that has a glimpse of something at odds with that, And how do you rectify that?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know if it's like that one person's near death experience, let's say, is it at odds with like another person's? I don't think it's really quite like that. Yes, it's tailored. It seems to be tailored to the individual,
If you were to go
but
straight to hell, which has
what's
happened,
that?
if you saw glimpses of hell, which people have had,
Yes. Oh yeah.
you're instantly in hell. Um, in many ways, that's at odds with other people's worldview of what happens after death.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I imagine that you have to be a believer in
Oh,
hell or think that you
precisely,
deserve that.
precisely, precisely. I agree. That's why I'm saying your subconscious has already built that up, that's a possibility.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I had a, I had a fucking, bad mushroom trip. I've only done mushrooms like a few times and like, anyway, um, I had an awful trip. It's like, I went to hell, on my little shroom trip. It was dreadful.
Sorry.
Yeah, it totally, it's like I was in hell. It was wild.
No, I do like to pull from drug experiences at times to talk about things. Also, at times I love to avoid talking about drug things because I think we
Well,
were
I mean,
doing it
well,
here.
since I haven't had an NDE, I was just kind of referencing that as far as like, you know, the trip to hell, NDE
No,
example.
I wasn't saying anything against you. I guess I was just before I was maybe also tell you something along the same lines. I was just saying, like, I'm not one to be like, oh, you got a drugstore, I want to up, you know, I got one too. That kind of
Oh,
thing
yes.
is
Yeah,
not
no,
my
no.
favorite. It's not my favorite, but it happens easily, and I'm really aware of it. Um, I think the guys I grew up with, that was just like everyone loved to talk about their party days and stuff, and I got tired of that kind of quickly. But
Those stories do get old. Yes.
they're repeated a lot too.
Yeah. They're very repetitive. Yeah.
So yeah, I had definitely an interesting LSD experience that pointed, you know, you can talk about all these same ideas, what was already going on in my mind, and then what the visuals and stuff that kind of showed up while on the drug, and then the guys I was with, and how, you know, my own thoughts influenced all of our visuals. And
Oh, yeah.
it's a whole thing. This story is, it's kind of with these four guys. It's a story we've had to question a couple times. I got in a lot of trouble for it. It was during the height of like me coming into my, like, it was 7 years ago or so, this newer version of myself. And you know, I was more fundamental in my beliefs with Jesus and the devil and the Bible and things. And you know, I felt like the devil came out in the room with us. But the thing is, we all kind of like acknowledge it. Like, in okay, the reason why it came up after the fact a lot was because they were trying to say it was only me saying it, but in the moment, everyone was in agreement that the one guy was the devil of the four of us. And so he and he plays the part even to now. It's kind of funny that that was what manifested in this visual. And you know, I was in like this Bible phase, so like we had to like be at opposite ends of this condo we were renting, because it was like our energies weren't mixing. It was really strange. And it
Well, like Christians generally do kind of suck the air out of the room wherever
yeah,
they go.
yeah, that must have been what it was. I had to stay in my end of the house. It was a strange experience because, long story short, we did this trip where we went to the Gulf Shores and we stayed on a condo and we saw some music, and we did a little LSD, and we had the time of our lives, and it was really fun. I think I mentioned one scene, a storm on the ocean, and like while I was on acid, and it was like a really fun experience. That was
That
like
sounds, yeah,
this
that's cool.
fun experience, and it was like not gonna top it. And then we tried to do it. We try and do it 3 or 4 years later to repeat it, and we are older, and you know, it wasn't gonna be the same. And I
Yeah,
was going into this new phase of myself. Like I was coming out of the, you know, the party phase and wanting to do something like that, but I was going back because it was like we were rehashing the past. And then this like new this this trip went totally different. It was kind of like lousy, like yours you're talking about. And these religious connotations came up. At the same time, I was already bringing these things to light. This is the beginning of talking to my friends about flat Earth and the satanic influence in music and all kinds of stuff like that. I think I'm gonna lose my train of thought because I lost the Zoom. You see me, right?
yeah,
There, I'm back. So yeah, enough. We're on enough of that drug talk. But what
yeah,
your subconscious is fed, I think it really does come out in experiences like that.
yeah. I would be interested. I haven't run across it. I haven't really thought to look up uh, something. But like with the near death experience, that there's so many commonalities across like you know cultures, race, et cetera, et cetera. So that there's a checklist of I think it's like 12 or 13 like bullet points that basically just about every NDE experiencer, describes elements of, many elements of. So I'd be interested, I bet you there is a similar kind of, that you can like sort of crunch all the data points and come up with a similar kind of list for like drug trips. I bet, you know. So what I'm saying is that, yeah, like, like we've been saying, this stuff is like personalized to, the individual's worldview and that kind of stuff. But, at the same time, there's literally, you can make a list of points that you find in pretty much every NDE account and stuff like that. And it transcends cultures, gender, race. I mean, that's pretty wild. So I mean, I think that that's another kind of thing that supports that what these people are experiencing is real, and it's not just in their heads, and it's not just all about them, right? They're getting taken for a ride in some way or other by.
I would scrutinize that the hell out of that, Davio, because especially if it came from like someone like Eric Dubay, because I already know the power of suggestion and him putting a list together and what.
It's not Eric Dubay. It's
Well, yeah, you're trying to tell me if they're saying every near-death experience covers those 12 things, yeah, I'd like to see how they came to be, if that's true.
Well, it's Raymond Moody. He's I believe he's the one who coined the phrase near-death experience, and he's the one, I do believe, that came up with this list that has been since, like, it's certainly been scrutinized, but it apparently it holds up. I mean, you can listen to one near-death experience account after another, or read them or whatever, and you just see the same stuff over and over and over and over. So I think there's a lot of validity to it, to be honest. I mean,
I don't get it though, because not everyone says they're hearing people or meeting people. People are just like colors and randomness. We should have, Ray on here from our group chat who spent a few weeks in a coma and has his testimony of being in a weird in-between state. I really find that to be pointing to with an agenda to create a story of what happens after life, when from this vantage point we don't have access to that. We can theorize, but we're not supposed to have complete answers to what's going on there.
no, of course not. I've never heard of any near-death experiencer say that they have all the answers, or they know exactly what all this stuff is about that they witnessed in their when they're out of their body, that kind of stuff. I don't know. You should look it up. I mean, Raymond Moody. I don't think he's alive anymore. But he's got I do believe he's got some books and stuff like that that are very well known. In any case, you should check out that list. It's
What's it mean to be a humanist? I'm asking for real. I could look up the definition. I don't know. I haven't. I'm just thinking of it right now. I'm becoming more and more of a humanist, I think. We're like, what does that mean?
well, I mean, it could mean quite a few things. uh, you could be referring to people like Dante and Petrarch in the Renaissance. The Renaissance humanists and that kind of stuff. I mean, or the humanists of the in the 20th century. Um, secular humanists is what they parade around calling themselves. In the 20th century, secular humanism. And that's exactly just kind of what it sounds like. The atheist types seem to be the ones who label themselves that kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, so humanist, I mean, it could mean a bunch of different things.
Okay.
In other words,
Yeah,
yeah.
I see that. Of Yeah, I guess I'm taking on the side of it that's no, I definitely account for the supernatural, for God, for the divine, for this, these unseen forces that what I'm saying is, as a humanist, all we can do is try and describe and systematically classify as we do, and that's all we ever are doing. And the systems change here and there, and people are going to be talking about near-death experiences in 1,000 years and describing what it's like, and they're similar, they're not similar. It's always the case. We got 3 minutes left. I don't know what this conversation has been about.
It's been about stuff.
Yeah. Um,
Well, do you remember the conversion of St. Paul's story in Acts
yes.
in the Bible,
Saul
where
of Paul.
yeah. Where he has his vision of Jesus, and he falls off his horse. I mean, that totally. I mean, if you read that, with like, near death experience kind of stuff in mind, it totally sounds like one. Like there's a near death experience account,
Mhm.
however brief, probably abbreviated. But I've always thought that was kind of an interesting tidbit, that the guy who basically made Christianity, right? There'd be no Christianity without St. Paul, right? He's the one who, spread it, popularized it, codified it, who this Jesus character was and stuff like that. But it's very interesting that it comes out of an experience like that, where he falls off his horse and has this, crazy vision, Saul, why are you persecuting me? All that, right? I just think that's interesting.
I think there's
So,
a lot. I mean, I think that's in stories all over the place. We tried to, point it out, made a list.
well, but not everyone is a founder of one of the three major world religions, Judaic religion, if you will. So it's kind of unique.
Well, it's just, I mean, Moses. I mean, I guess it's old hat for me because a lot of the stories seem to be that Moses, Samson's, Daniel's, they're all, interpreting stuff, and people are going with it. And um, I mean, Moses, the burning bush is what gave him the commandments. Um, Daniel's interpretations.
Yeah, well, I understand all that, but I'm saying that, like, in the case of, the Apostle Paul, I mean,
Near
he,
death.
yeah, like he fell off a fucking horse and basically, died for a minute and then came back, right, with this message, his conversion story,
Yeah.
right? One minute he's killing Christians, and the next minute he's like the great promoter. He's the Don King of, the Jesus people. So he's a lot different from Moses and, like, that kind of stuff.
I get it. We're about to cut out. I guess I know where this next camera was going.
No,
Because
where do we?